What is going on, everybody? My name is Nate, and today I would like to talk about how Battlefield 1 has enjoyed such rather stunning success since its release a few months ago. Right now, it is currently topping the charts in terms of FPS games on the Xbox One, beating out Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, the COD 4 remaster, Rainbow Six Siege, you name it. Right now, Battlefield 1 is the most played first-person shooter on the Xbox One. A similar tale can be told on Steam. While it is beaten out by Counter-Strike at times, it still surpasses those games I've listed. And while Sony's a little bit less transparent with their data, we can only assume a similar story is told over there as well. Now, Battlefield 1 really marks the first time that a Battlefield game has surpassed the Call of Duty franchise, let alone the rest of the FPS games in the community. Previously, Battlefield 1 enjoyed a comfortable backseat to the Call of Duty franchise, always being outsold and outplayed, even by Call of Duty Ghosts, which was largely considered to be the worst Call of Duty game of the franchise, but still beat out Battlefield 4 in sales and player population. Whereas now it appears that Battlefield 1 has beaten out the Call of Duty franchise decisively in terms of sales, in terms of player population. Right now on the Xbox One, Battlefield 1 enjoys a comfortable second most played game on the entire platform, whereas Call of Duty Infinite Warfare at times ships as far as 9th place, which is a little bit ridiculous. That said, I think anybody that actually paid attention to how these games did pre-release, the support they garnered, Battlefield 1's massive amount of hype and support behind its trailer, compared to Infinite Warfare's, let's just say not so successful trailer, I think this wouldn't really come as a surprise to most of the people that looked at that, which is probably everybody watching this video. But as the good folks at Respawn Entertainment behind the first Titanfall game will tell you, pre-release hype doesn't really mean a whole lot. You have to have good, solid, thorough, enjoyable gameplay to back it up, or your title is going to lose momentum and therefore sales and therefore a player base. And well, despite people having what some may consider unrealistic expectations of Battlefield 1, it has blown people away and has held up remarkably well, where Call of Duty Infinite Warfare has faltered quite dramatically. So I want to talk about why that is from a gameplay perspective. I think obviously the biggest difference that can be drawn between Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare is the time period they take place in, right? The developers at DICE and EA, right before they began developing Battlefield 1, they had to ask, what environment do we want our game to take place in? When and where? And they looked at the current state of the FPS market and said, okay, right now modern shooters, or sort of futuristic ones, they're not exactly doing particularly well with gamers. We need to try something different. And they did just that. I don't think anybody particularly expected Battlefield 1 to take place in World War I. Even after we heard the first leaks, many people were doubting them, saying, no, it wouldn't work, that makes no type of sense, Battlefield wouldn't do that, DICE doesn't have the balls. And then of course the trailer comes out and everybody is ecstatic about it. It's something fresh, it's something we haven't seen before. And I think that really encouraged a huge amount of hype behind the game and encouraged a lot of initial sales. Whereas Infinite Warfare, we see the exact opposite from. You look at Advanced Warfare, and right after that game came out, many people were saying, alright, these exosuits, they're fun, there's something different, we like them, I guess, but let's do something different, let's not do this again. Then Black Ops 3 comes out, guess what it does? The same damn thing. And people are really beginning to get sick of the whole thing. And then Infinite Warfare comes out, does it again. And by this point in time, I think people are just so fed up with Activision and Infinity Ward's decision to continuously implement this exosuit futuristic mechanic that people really just kind of boiled over and exploded in agitation. And we saw that reaction at the trailer. And I don't think Infinity Ward did this on purpose. I don't think they looked at the demographics and said, hey guys, people really don't like exosuits, let's do them! No. What happened was development for Infinite Warfare began shortly after the release of Call of Duty Ghosts. You know what was doing really, really well at the release of Call of Duty Ghosts, but had so much hype behind it? Was Titanfall. Titanfall, this game was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer. Its revolutionary movement system was supposed to be the thing that broke Call of Duty. It had so much hype behind it. At a time where Call of Duty Ghosts did so poorly, it was looking very, very promising. And of course, we all know how that story goes, but at the time, the game hadn't come out yet, and the developers at Infinity Ward were saying, hey, let's do what these guys are doing and see if we can't get some of that success. Unfortunately, everybody else in the Call of Duty machine did the same thing. Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, they all had this sort of weird exosuit mechanic in their games, and nobody had the common sense to stop and ask, wait a minute, we are all basing our games around the same movement system. What if it doesn't do too well? Nobody ever bothered to ask that question, and I think that was the big thing that hurt Call of Duty so much in its run. And by the time the execs at Activision, the developers at Infinity Ward, realize their mistake, it is far too late. They desperately try to throw together a COD 4 remaster in the hopes that it'll try and attract some sort of surplus of sales that they so desperately need, because they know this game is going to flop, which, as history's proven, it kinda did. And people see through this. They see the same old exosuit mechanic again in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and all of a sudden, a World War I shooter sounds very, very appealing right now. And I think that is the reason why Battlefield 1 saw so much more initial sales than Infinite Warfare did, and that's why I think it got so much more early playtime. But that still doesn't answer the question. Why is the game still doing better now? How is it still performing better? And I think the answer to that is a little bit more obvious. It's simply a better game than Infinite Warfare is. Now, do keep in mind, I use that term better very loosely, because what's better than something else is really up to one's own opinion. Some people may still say Infinite Warfare is better than Battlefield 1, albeit, looking at the statistics, that would be a very slim minority, but I digress. What I truly mean by this is Battlefield 1, I don't think anyone's going to argue, has significantly superior visuals to those of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. That's not really up for debate at this point. Furthermore, the gameplay was changed significantly. Like it or not, Battlefield 1 plays a lot different than Battlefield 4. The spotting system was nerfed drastically, and classes were made to be a lot more situational while maps were expanded. It wasn't a direct copy and paste of Battlefield 4 with a reskin that made it look like World War I. It was its own independent gameplay system. Because Infinite Warfare didn't really draw that many changes upon from Black Ops 3. It almost directly copy and pasted the movement system. You know, sure, of course it added in new weapons, but every Call of Duty game does that, and they weren't anything particularly unique. They copied the specialist system. Infinite Warfare failed to think for itself, looking at it from a gameplay level. And I think that is directly what caused Infinite Warfare to flop and fail so decisively and allow Battlefield 1 to take on the reins of first-person shooter king. But anyway guys, I'm gonna wrap the video up right here. I hope you all enjoyed, and I think the big message that developers at Infinity Ward and the publishers at Activision can really take from Battlefield 1's dramatic success is that maybe change isn't so much of a bad thing. Maybe recycling the same game over and over again isn't exactly the safest way to go about it, and I hope they really do take that lesson into account. And I think that's the real reason why Battlefield 1 enjoyed infinitely more success than Infinite Warfare. Get it? Infinitely more success. Infinite War. I'll stop talking now. Anyway, guys, again, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.